It really put me in the state of mind of realizing how dangerous America really has become, particularly with guns. And I just didn't want to take the risk anymore. What do I think of the glorious weather? Okay, I know stereotypes are out there for a reason. They're all based in some kind of truth or what was truth at one point. Or at least the common belief at one point in time. In the British weather, about it raining a lot. Oh my God, it's so true. And I've even heard people call it the land of no sun, especially in the winter, primarily in the winter. It is dark, a lot, it's gray from a lot of cloud cover, rains a lot, and the wind is crazy. Not just the fact that it's windy a lot. Wind is, wind, but it is cold wind. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I remember someone commenting at one point saying that it's like the air from the Arctic and that's why it's so cold. Feel free to place that in the comments if you think that that's incorrect, but the wind is cold, and you could be wearing just a sweatshirt and pants and, be completely fine and comfortable and even a little bit warm in the sun, and then all of a sudden the wind comes by and I'm shivering and I want my coat. But on the flip side, the summers are nice because it doesn't get too hot, because where I'm from in the northeast of America, it gets humid, really humid. There's so much moisture in the air. And so you would have a nice warm day and then you'd basically sweat just from walking from the house to your car. And if you don't have air conditioning in your car, in your office, in your home, it is really, really uncomfortable and really brutal. So I don't miss that. I do like that your summers are not as extreme like that, but I do miss it being warm for a significant amount of time. I'm getting used to the rain, to be fair. And I used to hate walking in the rain when I first got here, but I'm getting used to walking in the rain more, and it's not bothering me nearly as much. It's the wind that bothers me the most, to be honest. That's the thing I'm having the hardest time acclimating to. That wind is just brutal. And you do have to wear layers and bring an umbrella or something with you all the time. I have a few things that I always have on me whenever I leave. The first is an umbrella. The second is a shopping bag, because I always forget to bring a shopping bag, and a lot of stores don't have shopping bags. Cash and coin, because there's a lot of places here that still only accept cash. And layers. I always have at least 2 layers on, where I could take the sweater off, or I could take I have an extra coat with me or an extra sweater with me. I never leave the house without any of those 4 things. I always have those 4 things on me whenever I leave the house, no matter what's going on, because it does happen that the weather changes so quickly. I've been in the country for a year. Today is actually officially a year since we landed. The plan is to be permanent at some point. At the moment, though, I am only an expat for another year, and then I have to reapply. I'm on a family visa. It's the rest of my family are British citizens. So I have to make sure that my visa gets renewed and I don't do anything naughty or anything that's going to get me in trouble. And I follow all the rules. And hopefully within a couple years, I'll be able to have that extended out to permanent. So I plan on staying here as long as I can for the moment. Although there's some talk and rhetoric that's happening in the political side of things that it makes me a little uneasy, because it reminds me of some of the things that have caused problems in America. So we'll have to see how that goes. But for the moment, the plan is to try to stay here as a permanent resident. And that's the path we're on at the moment. But I've also learned to never count my chickens, and we'll see what happens. Because I never thought that I would leave America, to be fair. So you just never know what's going to happen in life. Things change, and I'm just learned to adapt as much as I can. Just roll with it as much as I can. I used to be a lot more uptight about things, but now I'm there's no point. Every time I think I have a handle on things, they change anyway. So let's just see what happens. That's the plan for the moment. Do I watch telly, and what are my favorite programs? I don't watch a lot of live television at all. Just because I don't, a lot of it's crap, to be honest, for me personally. But what I do watch is, I really like some of they're like not really the news programs, like they're kind of, and the like game shows with the celebrities on it where it's basically making fun of each other, or they're talking about the news and they're just making fun of it. I don't remember the name of all of them, but we watch a lot of those. I like British comedy a lot. Like, I know these are old programs, but I really like The Fast Show. I love Fawlty Towers. It's one of my favorite sitcoms of all time. And Little Britain, those types of things. I wasn't that keen on Mrs. Brown's Boys, which I know is probably going to make me unpopular with a lot of British people, because I know it was very popular here. But I just found it a little bit annoying, to be honest. But I really like British comedy overall most of the time, and I like the like game shows that aren't really game shows, and like the news shows that are parody news shows, and they're just making fun of the stuff. I get a kick out of that a lot. Those are the types of things that I watch. But we did get into. We have only watched the first season, but we did really like The Traitors. So I don't know if I think there's a couple more seasons, and I know that there's like an American celebrity version out there. Yes, I love documentaries. I watch so many documentaries all the time. My family makes fun of me. My child calls me a nerd because all I do is watch documentaries. But when I'm on my own, like especially when I wasn't working and I had to pass the time, I watched a lot of documentaries. I like watching a lot of documentaries about this, political systems and how other countries like rule, plus history, and also a lot of just like real life documentaries, like following people and their people who are struggling with like poverty, or people who are struggling with an illness or something like that, and just kind of seeing their journey and learning about those things that I don't know that much about. I really like those too. What kind of documentaries do you watch? Wooden Tea? What kind of documentaries do you watch? What do you guys enjoy? Or if you don't watch documentaries, what do you guys enjoy watching? I do. I have a child. One. Just one. One is enough. I'm surprised I've survived this long with one. To be fair, I never thought I was ever going to have any kids, and it happened. And I enjoy being a mom and everything, but yeah, I did. That was kind of like the mentality I was never going to have kids. But I do love my daughter. I think she is amazing, and I'm glad that I have her in my life. She's the main reason I'm here in England. If it wasn't for her, I don't know that I would have come, to be honest with you. But if you missed that, you missed the reason why I'm here. Go back to the beginning and watch the beginning of it, because I did answer the question as to why I'm here in England to start with. But thanks for your question. Don't make fun of me. I'm not old. I'm not old and ready for bed at like 10 o'clock. So what time is it in America? It's almost 10 o'clock. So it's 5 o'clock in the evening on the East Coast of America. On the West Coast, it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Or what is it, 1400? You guys use military time here. And then there's a whole bunch of other time zones in the middle. Sorry, you guys, if you're from there, that area. But there's just too many there's a lot. For those of you who don't know, who might be from the UK and you don't know, there are a few different time zones because America's so vast. So there's Eastern Standard Time, which is the East Coast. There is Central Time, which is like the Midwest and Central America. There's Mountain Time, which is like I guess it's basically like the mountainous areas, but it's in between the middle of the country and like California and the West Coast. It's like a sliver of time in between there. And then there's Pacific Standard Time, which is the West Coast. But there's also a different time zone for Hawaii. there's a different time zone for Alaska. And even as an American that's lived there my whole life up until this last year, when I planned our West Coast trip, I did not take into account the time differences, and we had major jet lag. I didn't give us nearly enough time to get over the jet lag. So, tip, if you're going to America, make sure you take into account the time difference and that you're going to be jet lagged and you're going to need some time to get over that. I've found going to America, if you leave like in the afternoon from the UK time and you land in like the early evening, usually I think that's about the timing, and you stay up and you stay up a little bit and then just go to bed early and get a really good night's sleep. That helps with the jet lag going to America. And then coming back to England, you do an overnight flight so that you sleep a little bit on the plane and you wake up early in the morning and you stay up as late as much as you can. Don't take any naps or anything. And that helps with the jet lag coming back. That's just from the handful or so times that we've flown back and forth. But that seemed to be the best routine for us. We always plan now our trip in those types of, with those timings involved, because it makes the jet lag a lot easier to handle. But we're going only to the East Coast. I don't know how to handle going to the West Coast from England, because I've not done that, and I could imagine that that's a much, much harder jet lag to get over. Do I watch telly, and what are my favorite programs? I don't watch a lot of live television at all, just because a lot of it's crap, to be honest, for me personally. But what I do watch is I really like some of they're like not really the news programs, like they're kind of in the like game shows with the celebrities on it where it's basically making fun of each other, or they're talking about the news and they're just making fun of it. I don't remember the name of all of them, but we watch a lot of those. I like British comedy a lot. Like, I know these are old programs, but I really like The Fast Show. I love Fawlty Towers. It's one of my favorite sitcoms of all time. And Little Britain, those types of things. I wasn't that keen on Mrs. Brown's Boys, which I know is probably going to make me unpopular with a lot of British people, because I know it's very popular here. But I just found it a little bit annoying, to be honest. But I really like British comedy overall most of the time. And I like the like game shows that aren't really game shows, and like the news shows that are parody news shows and they're just making fun of the stuff. I get a kick out of that a lot. Those are the types of things that I watch. Hi, Graham Humphreys. Thanks for joining. What made me want to live in England? I do a video about this out there, actually, if you want to check it out. I'm going to answer your question anyway, but just letting you know. If you want some more details, at least it was a video that I did really early on. So it might be a slightly different reflection because I was still just getting acclimated. But it's called Americans Living in England, Why We Left. And when I post this, I can link it to you in the description box so that you can have easy access to it. But the short answer is guns and healthcare. I grew up in New Jersey, where the gun laws are much stricter, and it was much harder to get a license to get a gun and to have access to a gun. And I didn't know anyone really who had it, except my dad, who was a veteran, had access to guns for like parades and memorials and things like that. He was part of what's called the VFW, which is Veterans of Foreign Wars, and he was a vice commander and in charge of the color guard. So he literally would walk with the gun next to the flag when they marched in parades and things like that. So I was always like, I've been around guns, but it was always in that kind of context. Other than that, in New Jersey, we didn't really have guns around that much. When we moved to Pennsylvania, my daughter was little, it's a very, very different state, and the gun laws are much more relaxed, and there's guns everywhere, to the point where there is actually an armed policeman in my daughter's school for safety, but that was strange. And she even had a friend that got a rifle for her 9th birthday, a hunting rifle, and her family were hunters, and they seemed very safe and everything about it. I wasn't worried about them or my daughter being around them necessarily, but it just kind of opened my eyes to the fact that we are definitely in a different state. There's not a national gun law, other than that you have the right to bear arms, which is the Second Amendment that everybody talks about. So each state makes its own laws. And with all of this, the school shootings specifically, but mass shootings in general, and being close to Philadelphia, which is a very crime-ridden city, it started to become really unsafe anyway. And then there were a couple lockdowns of my daughter's school. One because of an irate parent, but they obviously had to take that precaution just in case there was any kind of, weaponry involved. So they ended up locking down the school. Everything worked out fine. Everybody was safe. But there was also another incident where there was an active shooter in the neighborhood of my daughter's school, and they had to shut the school down, again, as a precautionary measure to keep everybody safe. And everybody was safe at the school, and it went without incident as far as I'm aware. But those are really, really distressing calls to get. And it really put me in the state of mind of realizing how dangerous America really has become, particularly with guns. And I just didn't want to take the risk anymore. And when you factor in the fact that the country's going down a really tough spiral road, a really tough road right now, there's not any kind of real help from the government. There's not any kind of hope at the moment for an improvement for the everyday people, for the average American citizen. And that medical costs kept going up and up and up. And we didn't really have the money. If one of us got sick, we would have lost everything that we'd worked for our entire lives. When you factor in all of those things and you have the option of trying in a different place where at least some of those things are under better control, it's kind of a no-brainer. So it basically boils down to that we just didn't see a positive future for us in America. So we had to make a change. So that's what we did. And that's why we're here. And my partner is British. So my daughter has British citizenship, which made things a lot easier because it was easy for me to get a family visa then because 2 of my family members were British citizens. So it made our situation a lot it made our unique situation extremely plausible. It wasn't a difficult thing for us to get here and for me to stay, hopefully be able to stay. So it just seemed like it was all the arrows were pointing in that direction. That's why we're here, so that my daughter can have a better opportunity for a better life, and hopefully it'll work out that way.
Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome to the show.